individuals going and trying to get their higher education, I think people need to understand and realize that education is very much a privilege. It's something that Latinos and Latinas are struggling. We don't have a high enough percentage in any real big sector in the USA. It's something we bring ideas, we bring change, we bring diversity, and we bring opportunities. And it's not only an opportunity for others, it's an opportunity for ourselves to change our life, our family, and our career path. I think one of the biggest, I would say, issues or concerns, or the reason why there are not enough Latinas in the legal community, or just in general, is because Latinos are taught and advised from the parents to work hard. And we work hard, and we work really dang hard. And that doesn't always translate into a professional career. That doesn't mean we don't know. That doesn't mean we aren't able to do it. That just means we were taught to work really hard. And I think that's something that we need to realize, that education is extremely important. And another thing that we also need to notice is that we need to be proud of what our parents have done for us, what they've provided for us, the opportunities that they've created for us, everything that they have given us, all the sacrifices, all the challenges that they have that they've endured. But that being said, everything that they've done is the floor. That's not the ceiling. If they were able to do all of that with the little resources and all the struggles and language barriers and all the issues that come about, can you imagine what we are capable of doing? Can you imagine what we can actually do? And I think one of the biggest issues is financially. Going to college, going to law school, going to any graduate profession, it's expensive. And that's why I say education is a privilege. It's not something that can be, it's not something that we all have the opportunity to do. Like I mentioned, I worked full-time in order to put myself through college. And I also worked 3 to 4 years before going to law school. And fortunately, I was able to live at home, and I was able to save money. And I knew that I was gonna go back to school. Like I said, I'm not sure IU McKinney, but I knew I was going to go back to school, and I knew how important it was for me to, try to save a little money and be able to sustain myself while I was in law school, because I knew working full-time wasn't a possibility if I wanted to be a full-time law student. Another thing that we need to keep in mind is that education is an investment. It's an investment. It's the biggest investment you will ever make. And, in order to make money, you have to spend money. And I think that's what we sometimes forget. We get scared. Personally, I had no idea before applying to law school. I had no idea that there was law school scholarships, law school grants. The school, sometimes the schools have grants that they're able to give you because of your previous experience, your academics, whatever it may be. I had no idea that there was some type of financial aid or some type of grant available for me. Now that being said, I was ready to drown myself in debt because I believed in myself and I knew that it was worth it. And one thing that an education is priceless. No one can ever take that degree away from you. No one can ever take that education away from you, and no one can ever take your experience away from you. So I think that's one of the biggest issues is, it's scary to think that you're going to come out of law school with so much debt, or it's scary to think that you're going to come out of law school with potentially no job. But you have to take that risk, because if you don't take it, who is? If you don't take a risk on yourself, who is? And I think a lot of times, just in general, sometimes we doubt ourselves, right? So sometimes we think, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it. Of course you can do it. I would say that one of the hardest thing about law school is getting into law school. I'm not saying law school is going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. There's going to be a lot of sleepless nights. There's going to be a lot of reading. There's going to be a lot of struggles. But once you get into law school, you have all the resources. If you take advantage of it, you have all the resources. And there's a lot of people willing to help you out. And I think that's what was one of the greatest things about going to law school, is just realizing how many people are really there for you. And throughout the whole process, you realize who really has your back, who really supports you, and who really wants to see you succeed. So my advice to Latinas wanting to get into the legal field is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and don't put a wall, or don't what's the word? Just know that you can do it. Don't self-doubt. Don't Don't second guess yourself. So I decided to attend McKinney School of Law because I knew it was a right fit for me, and I think that's something really important that you need to realize early on. So I highly suggest going to multiple college law school visits, attending those open houses, because I did. I went to, I'm from Chicago. We have plenty of very good Chicago law schools, and I learned about McKinney just through a networking event, and that's where I was able to, meet attorneys, meet alumni attorneys, I should say, current students, as well as the dean, and just the ambiance and just the energy that they brought from the law school. I just knew it was a good community. One of the biggest things, like I said, is Chicago has a lot of law schools, a ton of law schools. And one thing that really caught my eye about McKinney is that it's the only law school in Indianapolis. And what to me that translated was experience. We don't really have to compete with other law schools. Sure, we have to compete within our own community, all the other law students in order to get opportunities, but overall, all of the internships, externships, any type of experience, they go through our office. And I think that's really something to keep in mind. Law school is the time to learn, to make mistakes, and figure out what you like and what you don't like. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I decided on McKinney. I knew that I was going to have the resources, and I knew that I was going to come out with experience. Whether that's good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be, I knew that I wanted to get my feet wet. I didn't want to graduate, and I didn't want to graduate without any experience. I wanted to have something on my resume, and fortunately, McKinney has great alumni connections. We have a great support. We have a lot of the alumni love to give back, whether it's time, money, advice, whatever it may be. And that's something that really caught my attention. And I could just tell people were very passionate about giving back to their school. And that's not something that can be said about all law schools. I know that overall law school is a very competitive environment. And I'm not going to sit here and say that McKinney is not competitive. It's competitive in their own way. But to be quite honest with you, at least the classmates that I had, if you did your due diligence, for the most part, people were willing to help you out. And that's what you want. You want a community that's willing to help you up, as long as you put in the work. A community that's willing to help you, to lift you up, not push you down. And I know they say law school's super cutthroat. It can be, if you want to make it that way, but that's your decision. And I knew that's not the environment, that wasn't a healthy environment for me personally. I knew that I wanted an environment where people were respectful. We all come from different backgrounds, we all have different opinions, and we all come from different walks of life. And that's something that I really felt was appreciated at McKinney, was the different backgrounds that we all come from. Like I said, I decided because I wanted experience, because they offered a great community, and also one of the things that I think is really important is just to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And what I mean by this is I come from a very big family. I come from a very big family. So my mom is one of 8 and my dad is one of 10. And the reason why I bring that up is we have a lot of family gatherings, we have a lot of get-togethers, we have a lot of birthday parties on the weekends. And I personally knew that there was going to be a lot of distractions. And if that's something that you think that you're going to face, you need to realize and know when to be able to remove yourself. Now, over the years, I've fortunately been able, Chicago is extremely close to Indy. It's about a 2.5-hour drive. And so I was able to balance my workload where I would, try to, work really hard at the beginning of the week. And that way I was able to go home during the weekends. Not every weekend because that's not realistic. But at the same time, I knew that as supportive and loving and as amazing as my family was, it was also a big distraction, and I knew that I had to personally separate myself from that. And, sometimes extended family, they don't understand. They don't understand that you're in law school, that it takes 4 to 5 hours to read every single night, that you're not coming, not because you're being rude or disrespectful, because you're extremely busy. So for me, I picked Indy just because it was a great environment. It was far enough but close enough, and it offered a lot of really great experience. studying for the Illinois bar in July, which I'm super excited about. Passing the bar, not studying for it. And I plan to hopefully get into transactional work. So I actually come from a business background. I think it's a really great integration to be able to use the resources and the knowledge that I had prior to law school and try to enhance them and continue on with that. I think it's really important for Latinas to get into big law or a medium-sized firm. I think one of the biggest advantages of going to a mid-sized firm or a large firm are the resources. I think that's really important, and we need to take advantage of that. So personally, my goal is to work for a transactional firm or work in that practice area to be able to really use my skills and do contracts, interpret contracts. And fortunately, while I was at McKinney, I worked in-house at Cummins, so I do have experience working on that. So it's something that I do want to continue on, hopefully in the future. I think one of the things that we need to realize is that our accomplishments are not just our accomplishments, they're our family's accomplishments. And that's one of the most amazing things, is that our parents and our family, they are our support system. Mm-hmm. Realistically, my father didn't have the opportunity to get a higher education. Both my mom and my dad definitely, they graduated high school. Well, actually, my father didn't graduate high school. He ended up going to get his GED. And that was really his only option. And I say that because in the area that he lived in, it was very, there was a lot of gangs, there was a lot of violence. And they pretty much told him, if you keep coming down this block, which was the only block to get to school, we're gonna kill you. And my dad's like, what choice does he have? He didn't have it personally, he didn't have a choice. So what did he do? He dropped out of high school because he felt like that was his only way of living. That was his only chance of being able to, work and being able to do something more. And so while my dad wasn't able to get an education, he's probably one of the most smartest individuals that you will ever meet. And I say that because he is a history buff. Like he's always watching the History Channel. He's always watching anything history related. And even throughout law school, I'm like, oh, did you know this? He's like, I knew that a long time ago, because that's what he does. He loves history. And I think one thing that we need to keep in mind is that a degree doesn't define us. A degree doesn't mean that you're smart. A degree doesn't necessarily mean that you know everything in the world, because absolutely not. That's not the case. But for me personally, my dad and my mom are my biggest support system, because they were able to give me what they couldn't give themselves, and that was the resources and the support in order to be able to get a higher education. So just having that is absolutely amazing. So I bring that up because my sister was in grad school getting her speech pathology degree, and so I decided, we had the family car, and so we were sharing the car, and I decided, you take the car, because I know you're going to be in the country, and you need to get to where you're going to grad school. And so I decided to live downtown Indy, and so I can just walk to school. And the first 2 years of law school, I was taking the Greyhound bus back home. I was taking the Mega bus back home. Realistically, when you're driving back to Chicago, it probably takes about 2.5 hours. It takes me 2.5 hours to drive because I have a heavy foot, and I like to get there quickly. But on the bus, it takes like 5 hours. That's a long time. And that's how I got back home. I took the Mega bus, or I took the Greyhound bus, because I wanted to go home and see my family. And it's so funny because I have one of those like old lady like grocery carts with me, or like the little bags. They kind of look like carry-on suitcase bags, but they're kind of cute, I guess. And my mom bought me that when I first started law school. And I don't know if she just thought like Indiana doesn't have grocery stores, or realistically she just wanted me to eat. She was afraid that I wasn't gonna eat. My amazing mother, let's say my poor mother, bless her heart. She's an amazing person. She would fill up my this grocery bag full of, like, she would cook all weekend to make sure that I would come back with food. And I would come back with my arroz, frijoles, nopales, arracheras, salsas, everything you can think of, my tortilla chip, because I only like my Milagro tortilla chips. I don't like the other ones that are around here. And so I would come back with a bunch of different food for the whole week, and I would freeze it, and I would come back with my tamales, my arracheras, my carnitas, my everything you could think of, because God forbid that I go hungry. And God forbid, because, apparently she probably didn't think that Indiana had grocery stores or something, but she didn't want her little girl to go hungry. And, God bless her heart, because that was her way of showing that I was going to do it. She didn't want me to waste a minute cooking. She didn't want me to waste time going to the grocery store. She knew that I was busy. And if there was any way that she could alleviate any little stress or help me out in any single way, she did it. And like, I would see her like cooking all weekend, and I was like, I'm coming back with some good food to eat all week. I'd come back with like enchiladas, flautas, everything you could think of. And I was good, because, you know, it was only, I actually lived by myself, but I ate really good. And that was just because she wanted to make sure that I was okay. And that was her way of supporting me in her own special way.
Good.
Law school is one of the most selfish, selfless thing that you can ever do. And I say selfish because, you know, people around you are absolutely going to have to pick up your weight. But that's okay, because think about the reason why you're going. Know your why. Why are you doing this, and why are you embarking in this journey? And I say selfish because realistically, our degree is not for us. It's for our family. It's to be able to provide. It's for other people. So that's the reason why I say going to law school is one of the most selfish, selfless thing ever. What my biggest advice to incoming students, or just anyone that's considering going to law school, is do not be afraid to ask for help. Put your pride aside. And I think that's one of the biggest things that Latinas don't necessarily like to do, is putting it, we have pride. We're very prideful in what we do and the way that we conduct ourselves. There's a way, and there's a right and a wrong way to do that. And what I mean by that is have dignity, have integrity, hold yourself up, you know, with pride, but don't be prideful. And what I mean by that is be willing to ask for help. There's so many people out there rooting for you, wanting you to succeed. And I think sometimes we don't want to bother them. We don't want to bother people. We don't want to get in their way, or we don't like asking for favors. Or at least I don't. I like doing things on my own. I like being independent, and I like just knowing that I did it by myself. But we have to be smart. We need to not necessarily work hard. We do, but we need to work smart. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to keep in mind. Another thing that we need to keep in mind is you need to believe in yourself. I would say a lot of times we always we put barriers up. We have self-doubt. We don't think we can do it. We close the door before we even open it. And I think that's an issue. Apply to whatever scholarship, whatever law school you want to apply to. Apply to that job. Apply to that law school. Apply to whatever you want to do. If that's what you want to do, then you go out there and do it. Don't discourage yourself. Don't say no before they say no. You need to give yourself the opportunity. You need to give yourself the chance. If you want other people to give you that chance, then you need to believe in yourself. Let them say no. Let them shut the door. Do not shut the door on yourself, because you'll be pleasantly surprised what you are capable of. Law school is going to push you beyond what you think you're capable of doing. And I know that you can do it. If this is what you want to do, then you continue on, you do it, you fight for it, and you get it.